Everyone is unique. You see here an elephant, but the elephant with a butterfly. It means it's a combination of two different animals on different kingdoms, of different realms, the earth and the sky, the earth and the air. So we are talking about something very new in the world. The subject of my presentation is the Zeitgeist in the mirror of homeopathy and psychology. What does the word Zeitgeist mean? It's a German word. Zeit means time and Geist means spirit, the spirit of the time. Let's talk about the spirit of the time. It is an insight into the human soul in everyday's life and in the world. I would like to talk about the spirit and about the daily life and the world. Again, the Coca-Cola ad, the Zeitgeist, the time and the spirit. It's a quality of our time. I would like to talk about the quality of our time. But what do we know so far? What insights do we have from science and research? What is people's demands on life? About the biographies. Everybody has a different biography and a different background. And the background and the childhood and the problems in their life, they will still be there all the time. And the fate, there is some fate in everybody's life. And the life situations, they can be different. Every life situation can be different. Everyone experiences the life different. Our communication has changed nowadays, and the spirit of this time. The internet, for example. Now that we can talk via Zoom sessions, etc. This is all part of the age of the Aquarius. We are heading now into a new age. If we look now, this is the age of the spirit. 2,000 years of spirits are ahead of us. 2,000 years of understanding of the energetic level of the world. But for that, we have to have a change of the paradigm. What is a paradigm? A paradigm is a thought structure, a thought pattern, under which all other theories are disordered. The most important example is, for a long time, the paradigm was valid. The sun orbits the earth. It began in the 18th century. The church believed it, and this was it. This was a paradigm of the time of the Middle Age, even before the Middle Age. But in the 16th century, Copernicus, a Polish astronomer and priest, recognized, due to the sky movement, that only the Earth rotates around the sun. But Copernicus knew that the Catholic Church would not accept the change and kept his discovery to himself. But before he died, he decided to open his knowledge up. And at the moment of, and the day of his death, he brought it out. But the church, due to the paradigm of this time, the church did not accept it, and so it was forgotten for the next years. The Vatican had forbidden it. But then Galilei came in the 17th century. He found out the same. He published it. But then again, the church came and told him, you're not allowed to say this, but he was scared. Giordano Bruno, one of his friends, who already knew it and accepted the experiences, was burnt from the church. So, but he had no peace in his mind. And one day he went public again with his understanding and with his experiences. And he was not allowed, was harassed by the church and arrested for the rest of his life. So this is what happens if you don't accept the paradigm of the time. It's past now. And Kepler and Newton in the 18th century, they could calculate it. They could make it more clear. So, and then finally the world began to change. But what is the conclusion out of this? The heliocentric view of the world did not prevail until the beginning of the 18th century. So the change of the paradigm from the geocentric to the heliocentric worldview took almost 2 centuries, from Copernicus, 16th century, to Newton, 18th century. Now, what is the paradigm of medicine until now? The only reality is matter. This is what medicine says. Disease are material phenomena, and medicines must therefore be material substances. This is easy. This is an equation. Okay, accepted. But already Goethe, in the Faust, Goethe, a German philosopher and poet, wrote in his most favorite Faust piece, who wants to know what's alive and describe it, first try to drive out the spirit, then he has all the parts in his hand, missing, I'm afraid, only the spiritual bond. The spiritual bond is very important, but how to find it? Albert Einstein, 1916, said very simple, energy and matter have a connection together. Otherwise, one could not be able to create an equation for it. His equation shows energy, matter, and light have something to do with each other. Since Einstein, the physicists know energy and mass are only 2 different manifestations of the same thing. Matter is actually an empty space, says the British physicist Sir Arthur Eddington. Matter is actually an empty space. The atomic nucleus and the electrons take up very little space. The resistance of matter that we can't walk through the wall is caused by the fast movements of the electrons, which form a kind of shell. Aha! So we are heading to something what is very new in the last century. Hahnemann, Goethe, and wise philosophers knew it already before. But by that time, they understand in the last century, matter is only relative. Space, time, and matter are relative. Space and time exists only in connection with matter. Without matter, space and time don't exist. At the level of speed of light, there is neither space nor time, because light is absolutely free of matter. But what do we do with it? Werner Heisenberg a German physicist in his discovered or brought out in quantum physics. It is not possible to carry out exact measurements since the observation itself has an influence to the result. This is what he said. And this could be translated as the mind influences matter. This is very important to understand, that the mind is first and then influences matter, but not in a time and space situation, in the moment, in the realization. Mind influences matter. So we need a paradigm change, or we are in the process of a paradigm change. But the question is, when does mankind finally give its proper place in medicine to the understanding of spirit, energy, and information? Because man is a unity of body, soul, and spirit. Can a medicine of matter be sufficient for the understanding the man as a unity? Max Planck says again, a physicist, we can only learn this through physics. A new scientific truth does not boast by convincing and enlightening its opponents, but by gradually dying them out. You know, when they die, the new generation will come and bring something out. So, the development of the world, we can see, we are changing from the industrial age, what began in the 18th century, with all the production, the process, the energies, the railways, whatever was in the industrial age, beginning in the 18th century, to the information age, the computer age, the digital age. We call it the digital revolution. It means the technical innovations in the 70s and 80s of the last century. But this is only the beginning of a new understanding of the paradigm, what will change in the future. We change from the industrial age to the information age, to the digital revolution, and this will go further. It's only the beginning. What do we know from homeopathy so far? Every illness is based on an energetic pattern. This is what Heinemann says. We call it the disbalance of the vital force. And where is the disbalance expressed? In the physical body. So the energetic pattern is first, but then it influences the physical body. The illness always is the conflict, the energetic conflict between body and psyche. Body and psyche, they are together. Either the psyche has a problem, or the body, or both, or the body and not the psyche. So they both are in conjunction together. They function with each other. But the energy is influencing both the psyche and the body. And we, with homeopathic remedy, we influence the energy, only the energy, which can influence the body and the psyche. This is very important to understand, that the homeopathic remedy is only the energetic remedy. It's only the energy what can change body and psyche. But we have to understand, we have to be able to perceive the body, the psyche, and the energy. We have to understand all three of them. It's a difficult task. And even more, due to our law, Similia, similibus, curentur, our remedies are only informations of the matter. They are dematerialized. It means we compare the energy of a patient with the energy of a substance, of a dematerialized substance. Since 200 years, we are very happy to have so many information of the energetic substances, or the energetic homeopathic remedies. Because the homeopathic remedy, there's another difficult subject. The homeopathic remedy should be in resonance with the energetic conflict. It's the principle of resonance. The remedy, the energetic remedy, the dematerialized remedy should have the energetic conflict, should match the energetic conflict of the person. How do we do this? It's a process. The responsible task of homeopath and the patient is to understand the energetic pattern. They both together find it out. It's a process. We have to understand I call it the red thread, what is running through the whole life. Because the energetic problem or the energetic process will always be there. In the homeopathic interview, we can understand the language of the unconscious on all three levels: physical, emotional, and energetic. This requires a sound knowledge and deep understanding of the psychological connections and backgrounds. This is very important in my understanding, because our philosophy is holistic. Philosophy means the love of wisdom. Philosophy has the ideal picture of a world, the ideal picture of man, the man how he should be. Psychology understands the man how he is or she is. So it means it's a different, but they both go together. Hahnemann, already 200 years ago, wrote the Organon. It's a kind of philosophical work, a philosophical book, to understand how Hahnemann thought by this time about the human being. In anthroposophy, Rudolf Steiner 100 years ago added something to it. So it's good to have more knowledge about more deeper understandings. And in psychology, we had Freud last century and Carl Gustav Jung and Hellinger's family system. So I studied all of them in order to understand, to make a whole bunch of understanding and knowledge out of it. Let's go back to the Organon. Hahnemann stays in the paragraph 9. The paragraph I like the most. When I began to teach, students had to learn the paragraph 9 by heart in order to feel what it means to be in a healthy state of man. Hahnemann is talking about a healthy state, means a situation in that moment the person is healthy. But it's only a state, it's only a moment, it's only a part of time. It's not a constant process, not as constant, because life is a process, but a state is not. It's not constant. It's not continuous. It's a moment. So, and in this in the healthy state, patient or the healthy state, the patient's feelings and actions are harmonious. It means they are in balance. So the question is, what are feelings and actions? Feelings are in the body. The body experiences the feelings. But often patients talk about emotions, but emotions, they are mental. They are not felt in head. They are not experienced. They are thought processes. It's, as Eckhart Tolle says, it's the ego. The emotion is the ego who wants something or not wants, or not wants something. This is emotion. But feeling is in the body. The body feels it. That's why Hahnemann took the word feeling and not the emotion. And action is how to react to your feelings. When your feelings are in this way, your actions are in this way too, are in the other way around. So feelings and action come together. Because disease is on all levels, on the psyche, on the nervous system, on the endocrine system, and on the immune system. We know this. When the psyche is in disorder, the nervous system is in disorder often, and it could be that it influences the endocrine system, and for sure, finally, the immune system will react to immune problems. So then let's talk about the psyche, because this is our theme for today, in combination with homeopathy. Carl Gustav Jung says, the psyche is the organ given to us to grasp the world of the beings. To grasp the world, what does it mean? It means with your psychic, you try to understand the world, to realize the world, to observe the world, to observe the phenomena itself. It is very important to understand that it's just an observation. This is not it. It is just the observation. It means you stand there, you go and look at it. You are not identified with it. For me, it is very important in treatment to patient to differentiate that the person the psyche is not the identification with something. It should be the observation of life and not the identification. Because, as Jung said, the morbid cannot, the problems cannot simply be moved like a foreign body without running the risk to destroying at the same time something essential should also live. It means it is the problems are there in order to learn something out of it, in order to integrate something. So our task should not be to destroy it, but to integrate it. But for that, we have to go the first step to stop the identification with it, to look at it and to observe it. What is it? It is everything in our life, our biography. There is a beautiful saying I like very much, is if you want to hear the message of the gods, then pay attention to what happens over and over again. This is a message of the God. They tell you, okay, we will repeat the story with you constantly. In my experience in daily clinic, with 35 years of experiences, I learned that the story will always be repeated constantly. Repeated. What you experience in childhood, you will experience later on too. Even sometimes what you experience when you're in mother's womb, it will come and again, but with different faces, with different life situations, in different circumstances. So this is what we call our shadows. A shadow will always follow us, will always be with us, goes always with us. When we project it, in order to get the shadow into light, we project the shadow to someone else. The person will bear our shadow, or our conscience, our bad conscience, our feeling of guilt, or the reflection we will reflect. I will talk a little later on reflections. Projections are the feeling of guilt. But the feeling of guilt will be projected to someone else. So if I am not guilty, the other person is guilty. The greater one's guilt, the more guilt the other person has. We make other people guilty or use our body. This is very important, that if we don't find someone else guilty, our body will carry it. But we have to understand that we are not the body. We are spiritual beings. And we have to be aware that spiritual beings cannot bear the guilt. We live only in a body. We are not in the body. It's not the identification with the body. And guilt is an illusion. I compare it often with the idea of the paradise. In paradise, God asked Adam, did you take a fruit from this tree? He said, yes, but I was not guilty. I project my guilt to Eve. And Eve said, no, yes, but I was not guilty. The snake was guilty. She made me doing it. So we project our guilt constantly. This is what we inherited from paradise. So, but what is a snake? To which kingdom does a snake belong to? It belongs to nature. Snake belongs to nature, and snake cannot talk, are not able to talk. So in our body, as I said before, the body is matter. So, and we project the guilt to matter, and so the spiritual body, the body will carry the problem. Body will carry the protection, because since we live in the body, we have to get it out with homeopathy, with understanding, etc. What is a reflection? These are the mirror neurons, which were only described in the 1992. It is imitation of behavior patterns. This is what we see often in patients, in children. The children imitate their parents. They imitate father's depression. They imitate father's aggression. A beautiful example, a child who was completely hitting, two boys were completely hitting each other. Yeah, but when we went deeper into the process, I understood that they had two dogs who were constantly fighting with each other. So the children repeated constantly the behavior of the dogs. It is what you see, you mirror yourself in it. And this is what we understand. Why do people do this? For example, a depressed father, the child of a depressed father will mirror him. They do it out of compassion, out of sympathy or empathy. So, and we all have to understand this. Why is the child doing this? Why is the person doing this? What is behind it? All of this, I call it, are the anchors in the quicksand. Anchors means we pull it through the quicksand already since childhood, or even before. But even before means before. We don't know from where. But this is very heavy to pull through the quicksand. And we are going to help patients to understand or to see, to look at the quicksand, look at the anchor in the quicksand, to look at it. Look at your anchor. we can help them with the homeopathic remedy, because the homeopathic remedy must match the energetic conflict. As I said before, the energetic conflict will be expressed through the matter, through the material, through the physical body, and through the energy in it. Like otitis media, with constant weeping, means pulsatilla in our homeopathic understanding. But otitis media, same disease, with anger and rage, would mean camomilla. The energetic conflict will be the conflict of camomilla. In the first example, will the conflict be the pulsatilla conflict? In the second will be the camomilla conflict. Two different conflicts. So the energetic conflict is important. But what else? Can we help on other energetic levels too? I will call it awareness. This is what I like very much in my daily clinic. I call it the 180 degree of understanding, of the realization of the conflict. In psychology, it is called the cognitive re-evaluation. It means you understand. You see the conflict, you turn it 180 degrees and understand, aha, this is it. And often, or most of the time, you can see the positive side of the conflict. Look at all your conflicts in your life, and then you see what is the positiveness. Does it give me freedom? Does it give me, does it free me from restrictions, etc.? Every difficulties, every conflict has a positive side too, not only a negative side. You know, we have always plus and minus, dark and light. Both sides are together. It is said in all traditions, in all old traditions too. So, and another possibility of awareness is to see the conflict and to accept it. Most of the time, patients go to counselors and tell them, I want to get rid of it. But my conflict, to get rid of a conflict doesn't work. We have to accept it first. And then finally it can disappear, but it can. But only if we accept it as it is, to be in the present moment, as Eckhart Tolle says. The yes to it, the aha, it means I understand. This is an understanding of the conflict itself. Very important is the understanding. It gives us strength. It gives us power. It gives us power to rule our life. And what I like in all these dramatic circumstances of patients' life, to focus more on the Laconic understanding of life. What is Laconic? What Wikipedia says is a concise but accurate, dry expression of what has considered characteristic of the inhabitants of Laconia. I will tell you an example. The legend said, when Philip II of Macedonia approached with his army, Sparta, the Sparta people were known for being laconic, and he sent a following threat to Sparta, to the Sparta people. When I have defeated you, your houses will burn, your cities will burn, and your wives will be widows. The Spartans answered, if this is Lacony, it is You don't react on what is coming on immediately. This is something you can learn. Usually you react with a drama. This is what I see in daily clinic, that the drama rules people, but the drama does not help at all. If I put a drama out of the whole situation, it is not going to get better. It's better to accept it and to wait. Perhaps it is going to disappear. All this I call enlightenment, but it's a special kind of enlightenment. The enlightenment is not, in my understanding, to get rid of everything. This doesn't happen at all in our life. The enlightenment means on all the mountains of your problems, of your conflicts, of your life situation, of your difficulties, of your family circumstances, on all them is a light. It means I can see. If there is light, you can see. You know, light is stronger than darkness. I give an example. If you have a dark room and outside is light, and you open the door of the dark room will be lighter. But the darkness of the room will not influence the light outside. And if you do the opposite, if you have a light in the room and the outer environment is dark, and you open the door, the darker environment will have more light. It means the light is always stronger than the darkness. So the light will always be stronger than the mountains. So, and if you can see the light on your mountains, then you are heading to the understanding of know thyself is the wisdom of the world. That you become conscious, then you become aware. The more light you have, the more enlightened you are. But the lights are on your mountains, on your conflicts. And the result to it is the resilience. It's the Latin word, comes from resilire, spring back, bounce back. It's if the hammer is coming on your head, you just jump back, you bounce back. You don't stand in it and wait of the hammer to go down on your head. You just are flexible. So flexibility is the change, is the possibility to change something in your life. Flexibility is the moment when you don't accept everything as it is, when you're not the victim, constantly the victim of your life. You are the one who can spring back, bounce back, and see it and watch it and be the observer, as I began with. This is a behavioral prevention. Nietzsche already said, now I know that you have recovered, because health means you forgot. So we have all the examples: projection, the victim and aggressor, the drama, the resistance. And what I like is what people used to say, we navigate our patient through our life. We stand next to them and help them in order to go the next step, in order to see the mountains and enlighten the mountains, in order to give them strength to go through their life. And this is wonderful for a homeopath and for a therapist, and it's good for the patient too, because it helps us to grow and it helps the patient to grow. I call it navigation through life. Because the target, what Hahnemann states in the organon in paragraph 253, is the freedom of spirit. This is the target of our life and of the life of all our patients, to have greater comfort, to have our courage increases, our naturalness comes back, and the answer is health. The result is health and freedom. Thank you very much.